So we got to talk about the top news. And it
Mm-hmm.
is everything that we thought, and I thought was the right thing to do here, which is Seth Rollins cashing in on CM Punk to become the new champion. I thought it was well done. It is cheap. Let me start out by saying it is cheap, and I generally dislike it. And the reason why I dislike it is because to me it feels like if you're going to win a championship, it should be a hard fought victory. There should be a battle. There should be a story, and it shouldn't just be this cheap thing. Now he's a heel, so that helps with the cheapness. It's even worse when baby faces do it. So that aside, we knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that Seth, and I don't even want to say Seth isn't really hurt. These guys are all banged up. I don't think Seth tore his knee in that match on Saturday night's main event. That was specifically for an angle. Dave and I have been saying so on Wrestling Observer Radio. Once I kind of figured out what was, because if you remember that weekend, I was at a wedding, so I was kind of catching up to the news that night and the next day, and then I figured out what was going on, and then John Pollock had his statement, and I was like, okay, this is a work. Like this is a brilliant work because it has the fans questioning, and whenever the fans question, you've done something right. This one wasn't see-through. Now, to me, I get to talk to Dave Meltzer every week, so I was going to have this figured out sooner than most, especially if he was so confident that he had it figured out. But even that, I still thought it was the right thing to do. And when you're building your SummerSlam show around two nights and around moments, you needed to cap off night one with a moment. And that's why I thought they were going to do it. And that's why I thought it was going to be a great idea. You have the Cena and Cody Rhodes thing. Maybe The Rock shows up tomorrow. We're not really sure if that's going to happen. But if there is this further telling of the John Cena turning heel, and then he had the weirdo semi-face turn on SmackDown, which I still don't understand. If they're playing off of that and Rock shows up on Sunday, then that is the moment that is going to go viral just by him being there. Or maybe it's John Cena turns back babyface and there's a hug. That could go viral. I'm thinking of how does WWE like their shows to go off air, their big shows. They like to have moments that fans get excited about and that they like to tweet about and they like to tell their friends about and they like to go back and watch on YouTube. And so for that reason, the Seth thing was perfect. I thought the timing was great. Seth is the king of the cash-in. He's done this well. You and I were live the first time that he did it,
right?
Which was a great moment in
the
WrestleMania
heist of the
history
century
at WrestleMania 31 to close Roman and Brock. And I thought this one was just as excellently well done as well.
That was the heist of the century, and now they're calling this the ruse of the century. So you have this pattern of ways that he's going with this. I have a lot of mixed thoughts about this. On the whole, I liked it, and I agree with you that this was the right way to go. It was Seth Rollins being crowned like the King of Raw, with his group. He stuck it to Punk one more time. You keep the chains moving, and if you had a list of a checkbox of things that you wanted to accomplish in this night, you could say that you checked it all off, and you got a really good grade doing so. And I was thinking about the show Unreal that we all kind of consumed at one point, and Triple H talking about making sure that one specific moment stays with you for the entire show. And when the match ended and Punk won the belt, there was a is this the moment? And then we all just kind of sat there and we waited, and then we saw the cash in, and like, okay, here we go. And they teased it a little bit, and it had almost like the Kaiser Soze reveal. I've been manipulating this all along, and that's where I start to get a little uneasy, because we're entering a new level of audience manipulation with the way that they went about this. This was, we are going to flat out lie to you about an injury occurring on a live broadcast in order to put in motion a story in which this person reveals he's not injured after all and cashes in and wins the world title. There's a lot about this that will get some portions of the audience now believing that every injury is a work and that they are going to come back and be a surprise thing when people really do get hurt. And it sucks, and they have to go and work really, really hard to come back. And there is a mental aspect of it that you're playing with fire, and I don't love it.
Are you playing with fire, or are you playing with karma?
I think you're playing with karma, but I think when you play with karma, you play with fire. So I think you're a little more on the nose with calling it the karma aspect. So you're potentially going down a dangerous path, but you're always doing that in wrestling. You're always kind of like pushing the envelope and seeing what you can get away with before people are like, "Hey, man, you need to stop with this," and you pull back and do that. I think the checkboxes thing really bugs me, because this was a great moment, but it felt like it was coming. We all kind of saw it, and it was, the audience felt like it was going to happen, and then it happened, and it delivered on an expectation. But an expectation doesn't feel like the product really has heart. Like every event that we've had lately is just kind of like a checkbox to get to the next one. And I'm not even necessarily sure that this moment hit, because I'm not sure we were all as invested in it, because we were all more interested in whether Seth was lying or not.
They have a heavy schedule, for one. And
right.
And that there is something to that, where it's like, okay, we got to get through this thing to get to the next thing. And then Clash at Paris is then to get to the next thing. It's just this rotating events. You want your fan base to watch Raw so that they watch SmackDown. So then they watch the 2-night pay-per-views. Right. So then they watch Raw again. So then they watch SmackDown. And I think more than ever, because of how cheap it is to get access to these shows, they are just part of your WWE ecosystem that you can just, there's the specialness is kind of out of it. When WrestleMania doesn't cost anything to watch, then you're like, okay, like, great, I get to watch WrestleMania. I don't have to worry about paying, but it's going to feel less special. And I don't even know if it's because WWE sees it as less special. It's just more accessible to us. So our expectations are a little different. As far as the moments and the heart, and what you said about the heart of the product, there is something to that, while at the same time, this is the hottest that they've ever been in 20 years, I would say. So, while it may be meaningful for us, we also watch this stuff a lot differently. So I don't even know if my heart could be in it as it used to be, because of what we do. Like we watch it to talk about it rather than watching it to watch it. So it's a little bit of a different thing there as well for me. I'll only speak for myself, because
I would say, like, it's curated for the masses, and that's what it should be. It should be as appealing to as much of a general audience as possible. But when you do that, and when you watch it the way that we do, sometimes you do get invested in specific wrestlers or stories or long-term arcs, and I'm less invested in the long term with them, because everything just feels so mechanical.
I think it's a fair analysis, but you understand how it could seem to somebody when they sell 50,000 tickets for, for these shows, which means to those 50,000 people, they're getting something electric from this stuff that maybe isn't resonating with us as much as it is.
And it could be that I've watched a lot of wrestling, and like this is the first time they've seen a cash in, or maybe they were a kid when Seth Rollins had that first cash in, and now they're watching it again, and it's bringing them back. It's a nostalgia, it's a vibe. There's a whole lot of different things that you can attribute to the feeling of Seth Rollins cashing in tonight.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like an algorithm. I watch some of my favorite shows are on Apple TV. Apple TV does like 10 episode seasons, and there is a depth to their storytelling, but with only 10 episodes at 45 minutes an episode, there's only so much story you can actually tell. So what you have to do is you have to hit the points that you were just talking about that WWE is looking to hit. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure within the scope of how they make these shows, they go, look, we'll waste time and tell this story because this story is going to work with our audience. This other story, which may be heartfelt and which may be excellent, our audience doesn't care, so let's not waste the time and go there. And that may be what WWE is right now, is we know how to play the hits. We know what our audience wants. It is working better than it has since Stone Cold and The Rock were ripping and running in the Attitude Era. And thus, this is what we're going to do because we are a corporation and we are a process and we are not wasting money. And we're making sure that we give all of our partners the amount of content we need to get them because we need to continue to do that to make money, and then we move on. So I think there's an aspect of that, but I don't know that it's not a smart thing. I think it's actually very smart and very well reasoned. But for someone like yourself who watches New Japan Pro Wrestling, who does it completely differly,
I watch all different kinds to see how everybody does it,
But think about New Japan. If New Japan was more accessible, you have to do some work to watch New Japan. You do a lot of research and time spent in following this product because that is your beat. But
it's probably the least accessible it's been in years, in all honesty, right now.
But to me, because of what I cover, it's harder for me to watch. But if I was just a fan and I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing Observer, that would be the one that I would want to follow the most, even more than AEW, just because it's the style of storytelling that I find to be heartfelt and worth it. It's just not working very well because they lost all of their stars. That being said, what I like about wrestling and what you like about wrestling is probably not the majority. We are very specific, and it's part of it is why we're still watching after all of these years. But the current fan base in WWE is probably not like us as much.
Sure.
And this is what WWE has learned, what TKO has learned about how to fulfill the needs of their current audience and keep them tuning in and not churning out.